Alright, okay, we'll make a start inshallah, right? Okay. And alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ameen rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters, inshallah. We're gonna be going over, the Tafsir Surah Shams, and hopefully through that we're gonna expose a lot of different things about the Nafs, about Tazkiya, and inshallah how we should apply it in our lives, yeah? So before we make a move, inshallah, I want everyone to just have a quick read of the surah itself. Can anyone here recite? Oh, fantastic, Mr. Fakhruddin. Go ahead, inshallah.
والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها.
Excellent. Jazakallah khair. And inshallah, if somebody can read the translation. Any volunteers? Zahir?
By the sun and its brightness, and by the moon when it follows it, and by the day when it displays it, and by the night when it covers it, and by the sky and he who constructed it, and by the earth and he who spread it, and by the soul and he who proportioned it, and inspired it, its wickedness and its righteousness. He has succeeded who purifies it, and he has failed who instills it. Thamud denied by reason of their transgression, when the most wretched of them was sent forth. And the messenger of Allah, Salih, said to them, the she-camel of Allah, do not harm the she-camel of Allah or prevent her from her drink. But they denied him and hamstrung her. So their Lord brought down upon them destruction for their sin and made it equal upon all of them. And he does not fear the consequence thereof.
Okay, right. That was a very posh accent, by the soul, and he proportioned it. Alright, inshallah. So what we're going to do is analyze the surah through three different, inshallah, stages, okay? The surah can be divided into three main parts. The first part are the oaths. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes a lot of different oaths in the surah, inshallah. We'll go through them, analyze them, and see what sort of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to pretty much, put our attention to. The second thing that we're going to talk about is nafs. And through that, inshallah, we're going to also explore the door of taSDiya nafs. What is it? What does it have to do with us? What is it within the purpose of our lives, within Islam, and within its context of how we should be as slaves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And finally, if you recall that the surah also mentioned Salih alayhi salam. And the incident that's been mentioned is by the people of Thamud. And this sort of relates back to what the whole surah is about, which is the nafs, inshallah. And we're going to relate and draw some points from this as well. Does that make sense? Yeah? Khalas. Okay. So inshallah, this is going to be like a little exercise for everyone here, right? I want everyone, this is the English translation for the first 9, which has all the qasams, okay? I want people to count how many qasams they can find in these 9 verses. Keep it in your heart. Don't tell me, keep it in your heart. Okay, I'll give you 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 6, what? 8, 7, 6, 7, sorry, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, hands up if you think it's 7. Hands up if you think it's 7. Hands up if you think it's 9. Sorry, did you think it was 7? So you think it's 7. Okay, hands up if you think it was 9. Hands up if you think it was 11. Okay, what did you guys think then?
14.
14? Where the hell did you get 14 from? No idea? Okay, those who put their hands up? 11. Okay, right. Please point out. Rashid. No, I don't mean just point. I want you to say where they are. I want you to tell me where are the qasams. In Arabic, wa is used as a qasam, like wal asr, yes, in the Arabic form. If you go back here, see, wa shams, wal qamar, wal nahar, wal layl. These are all qasams, inshallah. Okay? So you're right, it is 11 oaths, but can you point them out? Can anybody point them out?
The top one is and.
Okay.
So that's 2.
So that's 2, yes. That's by the sun and its brightness, yeah.
And that's the one
By the moon.
by the moon.
1 follows it.
Yeah, so that's 1 or 2? 1, okay, yeah.
That's 4.
And that's 4 by the day
5.
and by the night.
And that's 7.
6, yeah. 7 and by the earth and he 9 and by the soul 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sah? Okay. So the 3 people, you guys get candy inshallah. Sister, did you get 11? Excellent. Okay. So candy for 4 people. And there you go. Sister, inshallah, can you catch? Here you go. Oops, sorry. Well done. Okay, other Mr. Malay and Mr. Bengali, come on, pay attention guys. Okay, inshallah. Okay? Right. So inshallah we learned that there are actually 11 oaths inside the surah. Now take this point that this is the highest number of oaths that's been taken at one position in the Quran. Highest number of oaths taken in one position in the Quran. And what it's trying to do, it's the whole point of this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to build a climax for us. You know when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes a qasam, it's leading to something very, very, very important. And this is 11 of them. 11 different qasams, yeah? And we're inshallah going to try and go through each one. So the first one was shamsu wa duhaha. What is was shams? The sun, yeah. Wa duha, I'm literally just going to go through the lexical meaning of some of the words so that we can have a better understanding. So duha, right, is some of the meanings that it gives off light and heat. And the sun obviously gives off its light and heat. And it's seen by everyone. Duha, you know when the time of duhr, it's very high up in the air. Right? And that's the point when everyone can see it and everyone can gain benefit from it. Another variation by Imam Suhaib Webb in his video is that it's duha is also when the ground gets so hot from the sunlight that you cannot put your feet on it. That's another interpretation by Imam Suhaib Webb in his video. And yeah, so that's what duha is. Does everyone get that? Cool. Wal qamari idha talaha. Right? So al qamar means the moon. Yeah? Talaha, it actually means something that emulates the sun in this case. Talaha. So we're emulating the sun here. Assalamu alaikum Furqan, please come in. Right, so talaha means something that emulates, right? And here, we have to try and make a very important understanding, is that now, the main context is the sun. And by the moon, and when it follows it. This it is a reinforcement of the sun. It's going back to the sun, okay? So if you look at the moon, right? If you look at the moon, it radiates brilliance, but it's in a different kind of way. When everything is pitch black dark, it's glowing. Whereas that in the morning, the sun is glowing. Does that make sense? Another different type is that it takes light from the sun. The moon takes light from the sun. Again, it's in a subservient position to the sun, right? And another point about talaha is that if you look at the trajectory of the moon during the lunar months, it has like, it goes, as it goes along, you have the full and you have the half and then you have the quarter and everything, and then finally has that full moon. Similarly like the sun, when it's duha, that's when it's full, right? Likewise the qamar, when it goes through the lunar cycle, you also have that high peak point. So by the moon and when it follows it. Any questions? Brother, sister? No? Khalas, okay. Now we look at the next one. What's the third line? Who remembers the third line? وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا. Excellent. Okay. So, and by the day and when it displays it. So وَالنَّهَارِ means day. Simple as that. No problem. Yeah. However, now it's saying, and by the day when it displays it. We know from science that the sun, it's the one that gives off light as a light, and then that's how we have the day in the first place. So why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention, and by the day it displays it. So it's saying from the other way around, that the day is displaying the sun. Now this is actually a metaphorical expression, right? Allah SWT has intentionally put this like this, so you get a better appreciation of the sun. Right? From the world, the day allows you to see this magnificent thing in the sky, the sun, pretty much the provider of all energy. We get the food, we get the light, it grows, it gets captured by the chloroplasts in the plant, that gives off, food for the plants, animals, and then that builds off and we eat the animals. So, very cruel cycle, but alhamdulillah, that's the way it is, yeah. Okay, so does that make sense? When it displays it, yeah? Allows us to appreciate the sun's beauty. And similarly, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَاهَا. Sorry, yeah. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَاهَا. And by the night, and when it covers it. When it covers, again, it's an appreciation of the beauty. An appreciation of the beauty. Does that make sense? The main important thing that you need to understand is that the sun is the focal point of these verses. Because everything refers back it to the sun. It to the sun, and it to the sun. Any confusion about that? Or does that make sense? Khalas. Okay. Now, one thing now we need to notice about the next three sentences, right? And by the sky and he who constructed it. Who can remember the Arabic for this? وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا. So if you go back here, right? So where? وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. So one, a very important point. Again, this is very linguistic and lexical. But if you see here, وَمَا, right? وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا. Usually, it should say وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَنْ بَنَاهَا. The sky and the one who created. Man's mean who? And the one who created, right? However, there is ma here. There's ma here. So why is this ma here rather than man? And some of the, the mufassir, they said that when you ask who is this? When you ask who, you find out their name, right? You find out their name. So who is this? This is Shah, right? Okay. When do you ask, what is he? Or what is this? You get an attribution from that question. So for example, who is this? This is Zuhair. What is he? He is an economist. Or a bad teacher, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So does that make sense? So the purpose of ma is not to allude to the one who created, but to allude the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who is this, or what is the system that created the sky? What is it, that being that created that sky? Right? Again, وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا. The earth and the one who spread it. طَحَاهَا means spread, and that's what it means. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَاهَا. The soul and the one who proportioned it. Does that make sense, yeah? So we're alluding to understand what sort of power does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have that He can create all these different things. And just to go over some of the lexical meaning of what's it called? The وَالسَّمَاءُ وَبَنَاهَا means it was built. The sky was built. Banaha means it was built. When we know something was built, what does that immediately imply? Anyone? No, not an engineer, no. What does that immediately apply? With regards to its time. With regards to its time.
It's defined. It has beginning and end.
It has beginning and an end. Excellent. What can you explain further on that? About the beginning. Think more. It was created, right? So what should strike in your mind is that it wasn't there before. It was built. So can you imagine, just literally, just sit down and imagine, what was it like when there's no sky? Can you imagine that? It's a very disturbing feeling, isn't it? No sun, no moon, everyone's in darkness. Astaghfirullah, what's going on here, man? Like a nightclub, So you understand? It was built, right? It was built. So this sort of resonates through these specific words which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses. Does that make sense, yeah? Another thing, وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا. The earth was spread, and the Mufassir have gone into detail about how it was spread, etc., and which one was first, the sky or the earth. You can read that in your own time. I'm not going to go through that here. It's not important, or it's irrelevant at the moment. Right? And وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. Now, so we're going to go through that later, inshallah. What I just want to now put your interest in is opposites, okay? So now we've covered these four. Right? Now if you look, everything is coming in pairs. Everything is coming in pairs. The sun, opposite of the sun is the moon. The day, the opposite of the day is night. the sky, and the opposite of the sky is the earth. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes the oath, the final climax of this surah, it's the soul. But the soul, where is the opposite of the soul? So what we are trying to understand is that as we proceed in the surah, we actually have this duality concept within soul. We'll find out what they are, inshallah. Okay? But this is something I wanted to point out, that everything is working out in pairs. Everything is working out in pairs. Does that make sense to everyone? Khalas. Okay. So, another thing that I wanted to bring your attention to. Now we're focusing on this last sentence. And by the soul and he who proportioned it. Okay, we're going to go back to the Arabic. What can you tell me about the word nafs compared to all the other oaths? All the other nouns. I'm talking about the nouns. Yes, excellent. You get a candy. Well done. Oh, the Bengalis did it. Come on, Malaysian brothers. What's going on, man?
The definite principle and the
indefinite. Yeah, inshallah. So, okay, come on, Malay brothers, inshallah. Do it for the Malay sock right here, you know. No, inshallah. So, if you see, everything, alif lam, alif lam, alif lam, alif lam. And here it doesn't have alif lam. It doesn't have alif lam. And what the Mufassir sort of imply from this is that this is a grand gesture of how, amazing the soul is. How amazing the soul is. You know when you have a story and it's reaching that climbing point, you just want to know what's going to happen, what's going to happen. Here, similarly, if you imagine the Quraysh, right? They lived an entire different lifestyle to us. They lived in tents, they lived in the desert. They experienced the sky, the night, different to what we have. We live in boxes, we live in houses, right? We don't experience the night for what it is. We don't experience the day for what it is. But they knew exactly, for them the night was a completely different world to the day. Right? And so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Shams, right? And then he talks about the moon, and he talks about the day, and talks about the night. And then he talks about the one who proportioned it, the ones who spread it. And then he goes to the soul. And then it loses that importance that, wow, this must be something here. There must be something here that is so powerful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking all these cousins for this specific point. Yeah? And this is what we're going to talk about now. So the first thing is that without the alif and lam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out His majestic nature pretty much. This is something so grandeur, right? Of the nafs. Does that make sense? That's the first important point. Okay? And then now we look at, what's the Arabic word that was used for the soul? Nafsin wa ma? Sawaha. Okay? So sawaha, lexically it means that it's well balanced. It means to take something that was completely meshed up, it was crazy, and then put into, structured order. And if you, further ponder about this, okay, we as humans are, subhanAllah, we are one of the most amazing creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the opportunity to have choice, to have a sense of functionality, rationality, thought, wisdom, memory, senses. All these have been placed into us, right? So we are finely tuned as human beings, right? If you look back, the sun, the moon, the day, the night, sky and the earth, opposites. Complete opposites, right? Sun and the moon, earth, the day, etc. But they are in perfect harmony. Can you imagine the sun and the moon never comes up? That'd be a scary day, wouldn't it? Right? Or you have night all the time, or you have day all the time. Yeah? Everyone would go black if it was sun, you know what I'm saying? So khalas, you understand? So this is the point. It's about harmony. It's about harmony, which is trying to allude to this point, that the nafs has been proportioned in harmony. Similarly to the day and night, the sun and moon, etc. Make sense? Cool. Sister, make sense, yeah? Okay, cool. And there are just a couple of hadiths which I want to mention on this specific point, right? Is that you all know the hadith about the Prophet ﷺ when he mentioned about, when the child is born, when a baby is born, okay? He has this fitrah. This fitrah is inclined naturally to good, okay? Faith. But it's his parents that make him a Jewish or a Christian or a Zoroastrian, etc. You all know this hadith, okay? There's another hadith that mentions, and this is mentioned in Muslim, verily I created my servants hunafa. This is a hadith Qudsi. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this, right? Verily I created my servants hunafa as monotheists, but then devils came to them and distracted them from their religion. And the reason why I mentioned these two hadiths is because we're not going to understand through the remaining verses is that we are not evil by nature. There's actually a proportionate mix within us, and we have the capability to distinguish between good and evil. Does that make sense? Yes? Khalas. Okay. Any other further questions about this?
Here the nafs, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe you were going to touch on it. The nafs is translated as a soul.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
I
anyway.
think in English the soul would be more like ruh.
Yeah, there's actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly mention this.
You're-
The scholars, they have had books and books and books to find the definition between what is ruh, what is nafs, what is qalb, and all these different things. Okay. For now, just take nafs as soul, and I'll explain later why, inshallah.
Like the spirit.
Huh?
The spirit of
Yeah,
that's why you-
the spirit. Yeah, the spirit. Okay. Just to okay, I'll forget it. Otherwise it'll get too complicated. Khalas, I'll shut up. Khalas. Okay. All right. Just take that as a spirit. Yes. Okay. Now, what's the next point? Yes. Okay. So I just want to conclude on the point of nafs itself, right? Now, in Nouman al-Khan, in his Tafsir Surah Shams, he mentions a very, very good point. And this is actually mentioned in this book as well. This is a fantastic book. This is Purification of the Soul by Jamaal Zarabozo. I highly recommend you read this. It's a fantastic book. Right. So, what the nafs is, and now we're leading to the definition of what a nafs is. So this is pretty much answering your question now, right? Right. So, between your nafs, your soul, let's just say your soul, okay? We're not calling it nafs, we're calling it soul at the moment. Your soul and your body, there is an intermediate connection point. And this is the qalb, the heart. Okay? Now, the heart struggles, okay, for desires between good and bad, right? Between the soul and the body. Extremes of either direction will make you lead astray. Sahala. Yes? Does that make sense? Extremes of either way will lead you astray. Now, the nafs is called this struggle. It's this struggle. It's the pull between both the soul and the body, bad and good. Does that make sense? Simple as that. The ruh, according to this book, in this reference, okay, it's in my hand right here. The ruh itself is something that we call the soul as well, but not in a coupled combination with the body. So when we want to mention the spirit as an isolation from the body, this is called ruh. But what nafs is the struggle of the soul and the body and the qalb. Does that make sense?
One question.
Yes.
You know that by the body, does that mean the bad and the soul means the good?
No. Both the soul, the soul is a form of light, and also the body is just a clay. It's just a clay. It's motionless without it. But within the heart as well, within the heart, you have inclinations of both good and bad, right? And based on what you choose, the soul either detaches from it or gets closer to it. We'll explain that later on. Does that make sense?
It's like the soul is.
Yeah. No.
The soul is like it's the one which is endowed with free will, and then the body is like a tool.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. The body is a tool. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes. The qalb is the connecting point between the body and the soul, right? The soul is the one that has the light. Okay. The nur. It's also called nur, right? The qalb, right, has this inclination to go both, either left or right, bad or good.
Do you know how it's called in psychology?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking you. I don't know.
What?
Like,
It's not
how does it?
psychology.
I know it's not. I know, but
Soul can't be
because
scientifically
I'm trying to
defined.
make
I
it
think they can.
closer to myself, like to understand it.
Right. Okay.
Rationalize it.
Yeah. Don't try. You cannot rationalize this. Again, many scholars will give you different opinions, right? They'll give you opinions.
Where logic kind of flies out the window.
Yes, excellent. This is the point. That when you try to define the unseen, this is when logic goes out the window. You can never do that. I'm just trying to put it in a schematic view so that it becomes a better understanding for everyone.
Let me say something like this. You have the ruh,
Yeah.
and you have the body,
Yes.
and then you have the heart, which is in the middle,
Yes.
and the struggle between where your heart goes. This process is called the nafs.
Yes. Khalas. That's another way to put it. Yes. Does that make sense? Yes. Make sense? Okay? In this heart of yours, you have the distinction to know what is good, what is bad. Right? So Nouman al-Khan, he puts it very nicely. The first fatwa that you get, whether you know whether something is halal or haram, you first feel it in the heart. Right? When you want to steal something, you have that little feeling in your heart, no, it's okay. No, it's haram, okay? And then you go online and then you find some fatwa to say it's halal and then you go steal it. Khalas, yes? Okay. So this is what it is, okay? I'm not propagating you should steal, no, astaghfirullah. No, but you get the point, right? You get the point. Khalas. Okay. Now we look at the next sentence, verse number 8. Who remembers verse number 8? فَأَلْهَمْهَا, yes? فَجُورُهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, and inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness. Right? And if you see, I've coupled the righteousness with he who has succeeded, who purifies it, and the wickedness to he who has failed, who instills it with corruption. This is the crux of the surah. Now this is where we are in the Nafs, okay? This is the crux of the surah. This is now the crux of the surah. And we have a few things that we can mention about this. So, ilham, fa'alhama, pretty much, okay? It means that something was inspired into the mind. It was casted into the heart, right? What are these two things that have been casted? What are the Arabic names? Fujur wa taqwa. Fujur wa taqwa. Okay? And do you remember, if you look at the first 9 verses, opposites. Opposites. Fujur, complete opposite of taqwa. And this is now the duality present in the nafs. Does that make sense? This is the duality present in the nafs. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you know the definition of fujur. It means open transgression or evil or moral evil, what are you going to call it? Taqwa, as you know. Okay, what is that famous saying of the Shaykh? Anyone remember? Taqwa. What is taqwa? Yeah. I don't know who said it, but there's a famous saying that taqwa is the barrier between you and hellfire, pretty much. That's what it is. No one heard of that? Okay, right. You guys need to. Yeah, no, that's what he presented as metaphorically. But taqwa means to have faith in God and to have God-fearing personality. Yeah, God-fearing personality. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody asked him what is taqwa.
Yeah, that thorn. Yeah.
He said, like, if a guy is, if you're going through a thorny bush or a thorny forest, and you have your, like, chadar, how do you say chadar?
Like a cloth, let's say a shawl or a cloth, yeah.
Over you to protect yourself from that is taqwa.
Yeah, it's pretty much to have God-fearing consciousness.
Protect yourself from
Yeah, God-fearing consciousness, okay? But I remember one of the Shaykh, I'll need to remember who said it, but he said it's the barrier between you and hellfire. Yeah?
Well, you said at the start of this is the crux of the surah. What's the crux?
Crux means the focal point. The focal point. Sorry. I didn't know. Okay.
No, I apologize for my ignorance.
Your brother is American.
Yeah, lost. What is that supposed to imply? You have this posh accent. Hello, maududi, what's going on here? Okay, whatever, man. Astaghfirullah. Okay, so now what we can take from this, alright, what we can take from this is that we know that we have been instilled with fujur and taqwa. Sah wala? Khalas? Yes? Right? So the understanding here is, we have within us, we know and understand the ability to know what is good and what is bad. Yes? We have that distinction. And we have the ability to do either good or bad. Sah wala? But this fits within the scope of qadar Allah. This fits in the scope of qadar Allah. Okay, we're just going to go over a hadith, which the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. The Holy Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the company of his followers. They asked him a question regarding divine destination. In response, the Holy Prophet ﷺ recited this verse, which is verse 8 in Surah 91. This verse will allay the doubt about divine destination only if the words inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness. So, فَأَلْهَمَا فُجُورُهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا are taken in the sense that human soul has been inspired with conscience to distinguish between right and wrong, and has also been granted the ability to do good as well as the ability to commit sin. Man is not a creature of pure force or coercion. He has free will to choose his path of good or evil. He, in fact, has the option to do good or refrain from sin. The choice is his, for which he is rewarded or punished. And this is in Muslim. Does that make sense? Clarifies everything for you right there. And the Prophet ﷺ, he also mentioned this like a little dua. Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha wa khayra min zakkaha. Oh Allah, give my soul its good. You are its guardian and master and the best to purify it. And this is in Hadith Ahmed. This is a dua he used to make whenever he read this verse. Does that make sense? Yeah? Because it's a very important thing that inshallah we try and preserve our pretty much our nafs towards taqwa and to stay away from fujur inshallah. Yes? Khalas. Now, this is, you have to pay attention to this part, okay? Now we have to understand, we break down the human character into three main elements, okay? If you look at the human character. So the first thing, the human, what is the human? This is what we're trying to break down. The human, first of all, has this body format, okay? And if you think about it, what we use the body for is to go out, eat, okay? To mate, to reproduce, all these basic functionalities. Make sense? Khalas, that's the function of the body. Then we have the mind, yani aql. The ability to rationalize, to think, to memorize, all these capabilities are within our brain. Sah? Khalas? Sister, make sense? Yes? And then finally we have the soul, the emotional core, which allows us to understand and distinguish between moral good and moral bad. Does that make sense? Yes? Now this is in a secular standpoint. Now we look at the human in Islam. Who here knows Hadith Jibreel? Put your hand up if you know Hadith Jibreel. Does everyone here know Hadith Jibreel? Yes or no?
When he came to the Prophet.
Yes, when he came to the Prophet. So the sister, do you know it? Okay, khalas, yeah. So the Hadith Jibreel, what are the three main components that you learned? The answer is in front of you, ya Sheikh. What is it? Astaghfirullah, this guy is all thinking, oh my days, man. Lack of attention. Give me your candy. Oh, you ate the candy, khalas. Alright, you owe me a candy, khalas. Okay, so we learned about Islam, we learned about Iman, and we learned about Ihsan. Yes? Khalas. Now, we're going to link these three together. What are the pillars of Islam? Okay, who can, for candy? Come on, Malay brothers. No. Malay brothers, which one? Yalla, President.
Okay.
Yes.
The Shahada.
The Shahada, excellent.
And the prayers 5 times.
Prayer 5 times a day.
Ramadan fast.
Ramadan fast, yes. Huh?
Zakah.
Zakah, yes.
And Hajj.
Hajj, excellent. Does he get a candy, the President? Yes, excellent, okay. President gets a candy, inshallah. Okay, right, okay. Now, these 5 pillars, right, are they all body actions?
Yes.
Khalas. So this is how we connect the body to Islam. Okay, commit your body to these 5 pillars. Sahawallah, does that make sense, yes or no? Khalas. Okay, now the next thing, Iman. Where's the, okay, but who wants to do this? Sister, do you know what the 6 pillars of Iman are? Huh? Yes, what are the 6 pillars of Iman? For candy, inshallah. Sorry? No, it's not Shahada, it's, yeah.
Believes on angels.
Yeah, the first one is belief in Allah. Belief in Allah.
His books.
Yeah? 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 Okay, that's one. Believe in Qadr, yes. Believe in Doomsday, yeah, the last day, yes. Who can help the sister out?
His books.
Books,
Angels.
angels, prophets.
Everything is like planned by
Al-Qadr.
Yeah, Al-Qadr. Okay, so who can say the 6 in tally together?
Allah.
Allah,
His books.
His books,
Al-Qadr.
Al-Qadr,
uh,
messengers,
Messengers.
angels, and Yawm al-Akhirah. These are the 6 pillars. Okay, well done. Rashid. What? Why did you chuck the candy away? Astaghfirullah. Sister, well done. And, oh, sorry, well catch. Astaghfirullah, ya Sheikh. And Furqan, well done. Here you go. Okay, so 6 pillars of Iman, right? Now, this is belief in what? What? All these 6 things, can we see them?
The 6
No.
articles of faith, aren't they?
Huh?
The 6 articles of faith.
There are 6 articles of faith, okay? They are the unseen, okay? But we believe them with full conviction. This is a belief of rational and inward belief. Sahwallah? Yes? This is the inward belief. So the belief of the mind, state of mind. You have full conviction in these 6 things. So, the mind can be connected to the Iman. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sister? Yes? Khalas. Right? Now, the state of Ihsan. What is Ihsan? Sorry? Okay, we'll give somebody who hasn't had an opportunity. Hanain.
to worship Allah as if you see Him, or as if He sees you.
Yes, okay, alright. So, to worship Allah, there are many different states. There are actually 3 different states. The obligatory state, I'll just quickly summarize it. The obligatory state is to have sincerity and to follow the sunnah. That's the first state, the obligatory state. The recommended state is to know that even if you cannot see Allah, Allah sees you. And the state of the muhsin, this is what we should be aiming for, is that Allah is seeing you. To know that, that you see Allah. That you see Allah. That you see Allah.
That you worship Allah as if you see
As if you see Him, yeah, as if you see Him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is the state of ihsan. Yes? So we can connect the state of the soul to the ihsan. Yeah, does that make sense? Yes, sister? Now, this is, again, if you look at it, the definition, if you commit yourself to the body, this is a Muslim. Commit yourself to Iman, that is a mu'min. And inshallah, when we become 50 or whenever we can achieve this, we become muhsin, inshallah. Before. Khalas, does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. This is an important thing. And now, we now try to understand a question which one of the people here asked me earlier this day. They asked me, right, okay, even though I know so much, I pray so much, I don't feel anything in my heart. I don't feel it. I feel that this is all fake and everything. Which component do you think is weak in that person?
Your iman.
Your huh?
Iman into it.
Iman, yes, your iman, yes? It's your iman. And also your ihsan. Iman means the conviction of belief. He has full belief in this. But it's the ihsan, the state. If you honestly thought, okay, that everything is fake, I don't know why I'm praying, etc., that means you don't have full sincerity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? You're not praying as if He sees you. You're not praying as if you're being watched. Does that make sense? Right? So the state of ihsan is weak in that case. Does that make sense? They're all interlinked, but I'm just talking about the point of purity. We have to understand that we can pray all night long, we can learn all the knowledge in the world, but until we have a good understanding of our soul and how to improve our soul, we'll not reach anywhere. That's the point I'm trying to make. Does that make sense? Brothers, sister, yeah? Khalas?
Like when somebody forces someone to pray,
Yeah?
so it's like ihsan weaker. Like if
Yeah. And so many of us, I'm pretty sure, this is even my case, yeah? When my mom, she used to take out the chappal and hit me in the face when I wasn't praying, right? So what I would do is that, I just act as if I prayed, A'udhu Billah, khalas, I just act as if I pray. I didn't have anything in my heart.
At the end of the day,
Yeah?
you're praying for Allah.
Yes.
Now, you're not praying for people.
Yes, that's the
Now,
point.
The thing is, people pray in front of people to show that
Yes, that's the point,
Thing is,
yeah.
that's not right.
Yes.
The thing is, we pray for Allah.
Yes.
Even Allah's watching you all the time.
Yeah.
Whether you pray in front of people or without people.
Yes, that's it.
That's
Bang on.
the question.
Bang on. So this is another point that I'm trying to make, okay? Is that when we were kids, and many of us use these stories, okay? And we just fake the prayer, A'udhu Billah. What I used to do was, when my mom used to come and she just walked by the room, I just quickly, act like as if I'm praying, okay? And then when she'd go back, I'd then get back to my game, Astaghfirullah. But this is the point, that you're not praying for the right reasons.
Cheating.
That's cheating as well, yeah, that's cheating, yeah. But yes, you have to have that faith. You gotta have that state of ihsan. Everyone has to have a state of ihsan. You must build up that character. We tend to focus so much on these two. Learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, learning about the prophets, learning about all these different things. Yes, they help. They help with your ihsan. But we tend to forget about ihsan as a priority. Right? Okay? Nafsuhum. Your nafs is the one that you're going to be asked for in Yawm al-Qiyamah, with your deeds as well, with the sincerity, etc. But the most important is this. This is the state which we want to reach. Ihsan, being a muhsin. Does that make sense? Yeah? Does that make sense? Khalas. Okay, well done. So this is the crux. Finished, yes? Okay? Khalas. Okay. So Tazkiya al-Nafs, inshallah. We're just going to quickly now understand what is Tazkiya and how it relates to Tazkiya al-Nafs. Okay? So the root word of Tazkiya, does anybody know where that comes from for a candy?
Zakiya.
Okay, what are the three letters? The trilateral. Ghalat. Wrong. Huh? Nope. Ghalat. Astaghfirullah, ya Shaykh. Zakawa. That tricked you guys, didn't it?
How is that Zakawa?
No, apparently that's the root word here. That's the root word. Zakawa. Okay? Yeah, I'll show you in the reference and it's Zakawa, okay? And pretty much it has two root meanings, right? It means to clean or purify from something dirty, all right? Or to increase and become more in number. To become more in number, yeah? Now, Tazkiya is one form of this. Can anyone find another word that's very similarly related to this? Zakah. Khalas. When you pay zakah, okay, you're purifying your wealth, what you own, sah? You're also increasing yourself in good deeds. Yes? You have that good feeling inside, when you give someone zakah, okay, or when you give someone charity, nobody finds out. You have that natural good feeling inside. This is it. That's the feeling you have. You feel good inside, yeah? Or when somebody insults a brother who's not there, and then you go and defend his honor, even though the brother never find out, you feel good. Yeah, yes, subhanAllah, I did this. Yes, I feel good. This is the sort of state, to clean yourself, to purify yourself, inshallah. Okay, does anybody here know the opposite of Tazkiya? Tricky question. I'll give you a clue. If you look at the Arabic, right, it's here. It's similar to word here. So if you look at it, you have Where is it? Where is Tazkiya? The Zakaha, and what's the opposite? Dasaha. So what is the opposite of Tazkiya?
taDSiya.
Huh?
taDSiya.
لا غلط. taSDiya.
taDSiya. taDSiya.
taSDiya.
taSDiya. Yeah. What are you chatting, man? Astaghfirullah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's taSDiya. Okay. It's taSDiya. Okay. Yeah. And taSDiya means to conceal, to cover. Okay. To conceal or to cover.
Then it's a friend.
Huh?
It's a friend.
It's a what? Sorry? The saha means wickedness, right? The saha means wickedness. But the act of doing it is called concealing, covering. You know when you, like, similar to kufr, yeah? You know when you cover your heart, similar to that. taSDiya means to cover, to conceal. There obviously is a slight difference lexically, but I don't know them. But I'm just saying the opposite of Tazkiya is taSDiya, not taDSiya, right? Okay? So we can understand the meaning of Tazkiya. The meaning of taSDiya is to cleanse and purify the Tazkiya al-Nafs, to cleanse and purify the soul from diseases and bad characteristics. Okay? From diseases and bad characteristics. Give me an example of a disease of the heart.
Heart disease.
No, heart disease, no.
Can I just ask you this one question? Because I've heard somewhere that when we talk about this heart and cleaning of this heart, it's not actually your physical heart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
It's like your spiritual
Yeah,
heart.
your heart is the center point. I told you, bodily and spiritually, right? Just think about it this way. Your spirit is a dimension. Imagine there are two of you, okay? There's a spirit version of you here, and there's a physical version of you here. You have a heart in the middle. This heart is divided into two. You have the physical attachment, and then it has another component, which is the spiritual attachment. That's how you connect with your soul.
And that's what you have to purify.
Yes, that's what you have to purify. Obviously, your physical heart as well is going to die. So yeah, but yeah, I'm just
Because
yeah.
some people might think that, like, you know, your physical heart get the black dot when you sin.
Yeah.
But
It's
then
the spiritual.
Like what happens when you get a heart transplant? Like if someone is good and that.
Yeah. This guy's been thinking about this too long, man. Too long.
Yeah, you know, when you, especially when you make bad sins and all this,
Yeah.
then there's a black dot in your heart.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you make no sins, then the heart is clear.
Inshallah, may Allah put us in this state. Inshallah. But okay, hey, no talking in the class. Astaghfirullah. Right, okay? So give me an example of a disease of the heart.
Greed.
Huh? Greed, yeah. Greed, envy, lust, whatever. Give me an example of bad character, sister at the back. Selfish, yeah. That's a bad characteristic. Somebody who's stingy or eager or whatever, right? Greedy, yes. All right. So, and then the second definition of taskiya nafs is nourish the soul by increasing in good and praiseworthy characteristics. Khalas? Does that make sense? Right? Now, I prefer actually the definition which is in this book by Shaykh Jamaal Purification of the Soul. And that definition is, purification of the soul equals the process in which healthy elements found in the soul are fostered, built upon, and added to while any invading contaminants are removed or controlled, such that the person worships Allah properly and fulfills his purpose in life, which can culminate in the ultimate expression of true ihsan. What a beautiful definition, right? That's a sick. Quite deep. You need to think about it very properly. But inshallah, you get the gist of it. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? Do read the chapter. This is in the second chapter. He builds up an argument leading towards the definition. Some key points that I want to highlight in his definition. The first thing is process. Why is that such an important thing when it comes to taskiya al-nafs? Why is it a process?
Because it requires a period of time. It doesn't happen suddenly.
Yes, okay? It's not just one thing, khalas, I pray for myself, khalas, I don't need to pray anymore. No, of course, it's the wrong mentality to have. It's a lifelong process. It's from the birth, from the day you're born to the day you die. That's your purification process. And you obviously try as hard as you can to reach a state of ihsan, inshallah. Yes? Okay? And healthy elements. What do I mean by healthy elements here? And everyone is silent. Everyone knows the bad parts, but nobody knows the healthy part. Okay. Right, huh? Taqwa, yes, taqwa, God-fearing characteristics, having patience, sabr, right? Doing acts of random kindness. These are healthy elements, that you have. Making zikr, yes, exactly. These are the sort of things. Make sense? Yes? And invading contaminants, okay? Not heart disease, which you mentioned, but like, what else? Invading contaminants, what are they? Huh? Desires, diseases. Huh? That's a disease?
No disease.
Yeah, disease, yeah. Containment as in like in disease of the heart. Yeah, diseases or doubts of Islam. These are sort of diseases which come into the heart. Alaikum salam. Does that make sense to everyone? Yep. Okay, khalas. Right. Now, another thing that I want to mention before we head off to the last component, which is the story of Thamud, is that this act, right? These acts of, choosing between right and wrong, who is this an act of? Yourself. Excellent, right? The act of doing good or wrong, right, is the act of man, not of Allah. This is an act of man. He gave you the option, you chose it. Khalas. This is why you see in many khutbahs, in the last, in alhamdulillah, wassalatu, etc., etc., you say, against the evil of our own souls. This is what it means by here. The evil against our own selves. Does that make sense, everyone? Khalas, that's one thing. So remember that it's you who makes that decision, but it fits within the concept of qadr Allah. Yes? Khalas. Now, before we go on to the chapter of Thamud, one exercise which I want you to try and do when you're in your spare time, which I did not mention in the beginning. The first, the whole surah, okay, the sun, the reason why I call Surah Shams is because that's the main focal point, the crux, yes? Okay? So the sun is the center point of this entire surah. The surah has a parable of the Nafs with the sun. It's a parable situation. If you look at the Mufassir, they write some things about this. I want you to go home and reflect on it. I'll give you one little reflection that I did, okay, personally, or I think I got it from Nouman Khan, is that when you are with someone who has a lot of Iman, like a sheikh, or when you're in a company full of good brothers or sisters, right, you feel yourself at ease. You feel yourself at ease, right? You feel calm. Or even I've tried this, we all have struggles and desires, we all have weaknesses, sah? When I personally succumb to my weakness, okay, I feel disgusting afterwards. I feel horrible, I feel sad. But sometimes when I prevail, when I win over that desire, and I just literally, what I do is I click on YouTube and listen to a surah, random surah. And even though I don't understand the words, it helps me. My heart just calms down, right? This is because, this is the concept of nur ala nur. You understand? Nur ala nur, the sun. The nur is light. The nur is light. The sun and nafs is like light. The more you have, the stronger you grow. And another reflection I'll give you, what is the sun providing light for? The earth, sah? Yes? If you have strong iman, that means you can help so many people. Does that make sense? You can have so many people. Your others around you feel comfortable. Others around you, like, for me personally, when I'm sitting next to a sheikh, when I'm just getting like a dars or something, I feel like, wow, there's something going on in my heart. I cannot explain it. But you feel that, right? You feel that. So these are the sort of things I want you to try and go home and understand the parallel between the nafs and between the soul. Between the nafs and between the sun. Make sense? Khalas, this is homework, right? You don't do it, you pay me a chocolate. Okay, khalas. Right, the final concept is the incident of Thamud, and we're going to sort of explain how this relates back to the whole concept of Tazkiya, inshallah. So, Shah, read this please.
Thamud denied their prophet by reason of their transgression, when the most wretched of them was sent forth. The messenger of Allah, Syed, said to him, do not harm the she-camel of Allah or prevent her from her drink, for they denied him and hamstrung her. So their Lord brought down upon them destruction for their sin and made it equal for all of them. And he does not fear the consequences thereof.
Yes, okay, khalas, jazakallah khair for that. Right, I'm gonna read some excerpts from this book. It's called Stories of the Prophets. It's originally from Bidayah wal Nihaya, written by Ibn Kathir, inshallah, okay? Just to give you a background, does anybody know what was their special skill set of these people? The people of Thamud, what were they so well known for?
They could build things really nicely.
Carved stones.
Yeah, carved stones where?
In the mountains.
In the mountains. That's what I was looking for. So imagine, this was quite a super race, can you imagine people nowadays with all the modern equipment, they find it difficult to carve houses out of, the mountains or whatever. This guy, this is like easy, khalas, what do you want me to do? Very easy for them. So this was quite a powerful race. Quite a powerful race, quite a powerful civilization, very well thought, had technology, etc., etc. So they're very well developed, yeah? Yeah, so inshallah, let me just go over some situations, some excerpts which this book mentions. So, the Prophet Salih, right? That was the Prophet that, that went to them, alayhi salam. He went to them and gave them the message, etc., etc., etc. And the story from the verses and the course we did earlier, the previous nations. And what happened was, after a long confrontation or a confrontation situation, the leaders of this society, Thamud, right? They unanimously agreed that the she-camel should be hamstrung. They unanimously agreed that the she-camel should be hamstrung. And so what happened was that because of this unanimous decision, specifically one man, went up and killed this camel. For a candy, does anybody know the name of this man? I know it's a bad thing to say, but anybody know the name of this man who went up and killed the camel? Or who made the first slaughter? No one? Sister? No one? His name was Qidr bin Salif bin Junda. Okay.
You expected us to know that?
Yeah, and you guys went to that course. You guys went to the Surah course the other day. I don't know, weekend. You guys should know this stuff. For Allah. You guys are not paying attention to class, man. What's going on? Okay, so his action was by consensus of the people, and this is why his act of slaying is regarded as the act of the entire nation. Of the entire group of people. This is going to come up very soon. I'll explain why. Okay? Understand this concept. It was a unanimous decision, and when he went and slaughtered the camel, this was on behalf of the entire society. Yes? Okay. To continue even further, Ibn Jarir and other exegetes, so like this means mufassir pretty much, right? Have said there were two women in Thamud. The name of one of them was Saduq, who was the daughter of Mahyu bin Mukhtar, whatever. She was wealthy and of noble descent. She was married to one who became a believer. Alright, okay? When the Prophet Salih alayhi salam, when he made the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please, give us a miracle, produce a she-camel. In front of them, a stone that, it churned into a she-camel. They were like, whoa, what's going on here, So many of them believed, but there's still some who didn't, who were stubborn in their beliefs, yeah? So one of them who became a believer, so she divorced him. Right? She divorced this believer. Then she went to one of her cousins who were called Masra bin Muharraf bin Mahya and suggested that if he were to kill the she-camel, she would marry him. The name of the other woman was Unayza bint Ghunaym bin Majaz, nicknamed Ghanma. She was old and a disbeliever. She had daughters from her husband Dhawab bin Amr, one of the chieftains. She displayed her 4 daughters upon Qidr, the guy who went up and slaughtered, upon Qidr, and said that if he were to kill the she-camel, he could marry any one of them that he wanted. Right? These 2 youths volunteered themselves to kill her and wanted some more from the community to come forward. 7 more of them made themselves available. So 7 people made themselves available to go and, bash this camel down, right? And so they became 9 people. The Quran said about them, and this is in verse 48, Surah 27, and there were in the city 9 people who made mischief in the land and did not act righteously. Okay, this is just to give you some sort of background. We'll drive the lessons later on, inshallah. But does that make sense? So what was their driving force? These men, what was their driving force to kill the camel?
Their lust for the woman.
Their lust for the woman, okay? It's not saying that women are bad. Please don't take it that way, right? It's to say that they were driven by the lust of women. Make sense?
It's in itself a disease of the heart.
Yes, excellent. Well done, you get a candy for that. We still have a few candies, so inshallah, more smart comments will get you some, inshallah. Okay, so it is mentioned that when they hamstrung the she-camel, the first one who attacked was Qidr, the one who I mentioned before. May Allah curse him, okay? He slew her and she fell on the ground. Then all of them rushed forward, cutting her into pieces. When her calf, she had a little calf, right? When her calf watched this, he fled from there and went onto the peak of the mountain and howled 3 times. This is very important. He howled 3 times. There's a reason why he howled 3 times, yeah? That is why Salih said to them, enjoy yourselves in your homes for 3 days, excluding the day when they slew the camel, the she-camel. Okay? The concept of this 3 days comes up, inshallah, very shortly. So, now it's talking about the punishment itself, right? Okay, the punishment. It says, when it was the morning of Thursday, which is the first of the 3 days, their faces gone pale. As Salih warned them. In the evening, they said, one of the day of the deadline has passed. When it was the second day, Friday, their faces were red. In the evening, they called each other, two days of the deadline has passed. When it was the third day, Saturday, their faces were black. And in the evening, they said, all 3 days of the deadline have passed. So, look what they did to prepare for the punishment, okay? When it was Sunday morning, they perfumed themselves. Okay, they perfumed themselves and sat down in readiness, waiting for the punishment which is going to them. Okay, so they're just chilling around with perfume. What's going on here, man? Okay, they had no idea what is going to befall them, from which side is going to come. So they're just waiting in anticipation. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? After the sun rose, a mighty blast came from the sky and a quack from there beneath. All souls died and every movement stopped therewith. There were no noises left there. They remained in their houses squatting and lifeless and motionless. Right? That's the point. That was the end. Boom. Done. Right? Don't worry, we'll explain a few concepts later on. And just to conclude, I think, with this final hadith, yeah? I thought this was interesting. So this is a hadith mentioned by Imam Ahmed relating this incident. Do not ask for signs as the people of Salih had asked for this. So this is Prophet ﷺ saying, yeah? Meaning the she-camel. She went for her water from this way and came back from that way. They transgressed against their Lord and slew her. She drank from their water one day and they drank from her milk one day. They slew her, and so the blast which Allah sent upon them from the sky seized them all except one man who was in the haram of Allah. They asked, who was that person, O Messenger of Allah? The Prophet ﷺ said, he was, he was Abu Rigal. And when he came out of the haram, the same punishment was inflicted upon him. The same punishment. Right? And it is narrated from Ismail bin Umayyah, who said the Prophet ﷺ passed by the grave of Abu Rigal and said, do you know who was this man? They said, Allah and His Messenger know better. The Prophet ﷺ then said, this is the grave of Abu Rigal, a man from Thamud. He was in the haram protecting himself. But when he came out of it, the same punishment was inflicted upon him as what his people suffered from. And so he was buried here. And he was buried with a twig of gold. People went towards the grave and started to dig and search for it with their swords. And they found it, subhanAllah. Okay? So, and this is what I just want to take from the story. And I just want to now conclude some points which we can take from this and apply it, inshallah. Right? So again, who was the man who killed the camel? Qidr, not Khidr. Khidr is a different man. Okay? So,
Is it Qadr or
Qidr. Qaf, Qidr, not Qidr. Qidr. Yeah? Okay. Right, before this turns into the Tajweed class, okay? I want to say, so what was the main driving force of these people which led them to kill? Lust, desire. It was a desire pretty much, right? Okay? Out of form of arrogance. Sah wallah? Yes? Okay? So, inshallah, we're just going to cover across quickly. What is the last few lines about, if you look at it, can anyone recall the last few lines about the surah? Yeah? Yeah? Yes, excellent. Okay, excellent. Right. Now we're just going to look at just two words, inshallah. Damdama, which Hanain mentioned, right? Okay. The word itself, this means that repeated punishment until either the person or the entire nation is perished. Okay? The entire nation is perished. And fasawaha means took everyone, old, young, poor, whatever. And the reason why, if you remember, fasawaha, why did Allah SWT take everyone? Why?
Because nobody tried to stop.
No. Exactly. Remember I said the point previously? It was unanimous decision. A unanimous decision, so it was that decision was made on behalf of the society. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took all of them down. Does that make sense, right? So the conclusions that we can draw from Thamud, they disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. Yes? Persistently believed in their wrongdoings. They were arrogant, and out of the arrogance, they continued doing wrong. Even though many of them believed, the ones who stayed behind, they left them. Yeah? And then thirdly, they followed their desires. And this is the point which I want to bring. Your nafs, okay? What are the diseases? Is desires of the heart, or the soul, whatever you want to call it. Envy, lust, anger, whatever, etc., etc. We really need to protect ourselves from diseases of the heart. You saw this. They were saying, bring your punishment, man, whatever you want to do, okay? And they got thrashed. You know the rock, when he gives the rock bottom and khalas, he's out. Okay, they got thrashed like 100 times with the rock bottom or something. You understand? So understand that don't ever, do whatever you can to fight against these desires of the heart. They have led these people to be, an act of shame. And this is something we need to avoid. We need to draw lessons from this. Yes? Okay, conclusions about the overall thing. Right. First one, Tazkiya al-Nafs is a constant struggle. It does not happen overnight. It's not something static. It's something dynamic. Yes? Number two, you, as in you, all of you have been given the power to make the decision between good and bad, and the ability to follow them up. Yes? Number three, body, mind, and soul. Remember we went through this? Each one deserves its due right. You don't give the body the right thing, it's going to die out. You don't give the mind the right thing, you're going to become stupid. If you don't give the soul the right thing, your heart is going to die. Your state of soul is going to die. So everything deserves its due right. Does that make sense? Yes? And finally, number four, this is your homework. Reflect on the parable of the sun and the nafs. Does that make sense? Yeah? Reflect on the parable of the sun and the nafs. You'll get so many things if you just sit and wonder. Just sit and wonder. Yeah? Just to conclude, the reference I used was the meaning of the Quran, and this is written by a Pakistani scholar, Sheikh Syed al-Maududi. Maariful Quran, written by Mufti Muhammad Shafi. Tafsir Kathir, Purification of the Soul, which I showed you. Stories of the Prophets, which I showed you. Heart Therapy, these are my Kauthar notes, which I went to. And then the Tafsir Surah Shams video by Nouman Ali Khan. Okay? I just want to conclude, inshallah, that any mistakes that I have made in this, that I may have made, are my own. The deen itself is perfect. And please forgive me, inshallah, for whatever mistakes I may have made. Please make, inshallah, that make dua for all of us and all our families, all our friends. Then, inshallah, we all have a chance to purify our heart to a state of ihsan. Inshallah, that we can all achieve that. And inshallah, reach Jannat for those through this act, inshallah. Yes? Jazakumullah khairan wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi. Yes? Any questions? What is the food for the soul? The thing is, it does mention like a strategy, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually have a lecture series so that inshallah we can talk about the different types of things. But the first thing it does mention, I'll just let you know, the first thing is like a teaser for the next one, is that learn about Allah. Learn about Allah. This is something I neglected, myself I neglected. You know when people tell you, learn about the names and the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is something you really need to do. Once you understand who it is, khalas, you have full fear, you have the taqwa produced in you. When you work for somebody, right, okay, you try and develop, you get a full understanding what sort of person he is, what does he like, what does he dislike, so you could try and suck up to your boss and get promotion and stuff. Similar here, right, you want to try and learn as much as you can about Allah so you can do the right things. Learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
How do you do that?
Huh? Learn about the names. Learn about the characteristics of Allah. Those attributes, the names, the 99 names, etc. and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I'm assuming what you mean by the names is understand the definition.
Yeah, the definition. Yeah, the definition. They have a lot of I think there's a book about this specifically. I don't know who was it by. The names and then the proper understanding of what it requires. Another good tip that I learned from the heart therapy course by Kauthar is that what the Sheikh mentioned is that whenever you see an act, relate that act back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you see someone who's very, very blessed, think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the sustainer. Yeah? If you see someone who got punishment very, very badly, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment is the worst form of punishment. Right? Always trace everything back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This exercise will allow you to keep Him in your mind again and again and again. And that builds a sort of mental persistence that not only is He watching you, but you try and develop that relationship that He's there, that you see Him. Does that make sense? Khalas. Any other questions? No? Inshallah. Okay, so the next class inshallah will be about learning how we can achieve a state of purification and some of the obstacles that come in the way, like the diseases and the doubts of the heart. Yes? Alright, Jazakallah khairan, sister and brother, inshallah. I'll see you next time. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum.